3 and 4. Hey, Drew James here from LearnGuitarInLondon.com. I hope you're having a great day. Here I have a fingerstyle instrumental arrangement of Someone Like You by Adele, which is such a classic tune, and it actually lends itself really well to fingerstyle guitar. Now I really suggest that you get the tab for this. It's available completely for free at my website. I've left a link in the video right now, and there's a link in the video description. Just click on that. Just takes a name and email address to join, and then you go to the student area completely for free and download the tab. I'm going to be breaking it down for you part by part, bar by bar, slowly and patiently. Let's get started. As this is a big arrangement, this will be a two-part video. Both parts will be available for free at my channel. Please make sure that you have the tab. Let's look at the first two bars of this. So this is actually played on the piano in the original, but it suits quite nicely on the guitar. Quite simply, all we need is a G chord, but really we don't need the full G chord, we just need the bass note of the G. So that's the 3rd fret on the thickest string. I like to use my ring finger for a lot of this song whenever we're in that position. So we're going to be changing from that into a B minor, okay? I'll show you how to do that chord in just a second. So let's look at the picking pattern for the G. So obviously the thumb is always assigned to the top 3 strings with fingerstyle, and then the index, middle and ring, index on G, middle on B, ring on E. So when I'm talking about the fingers on the right hand, this is what we're doing at the beginning. So we're going thumb on G, index, middle, index, thumb on D, index, middle, index. And then we do that again. That's it, just a little bit faster, okay? The important thing to understand next is that the picking pattern is more or less exactly the same, but just with a B minor and a B as the bass note. So we're going to place our index finger down on the 2nd fret on the bottom 5 strings, and then we're going to make this A minor shape. So that's fret 3 on the B string and fret 4 on the D and the G. Push as hard as you can. And it's, as I said, it's exactly the same picking pattern, but just thumbs starting on the A string. Okay, so that's the first 2 bars. Okay, so the important thing here to understand is as you move from this G to the B, make sure you get the bar finger down first, so you get that note down first, so that you can then get the rest of your B minor into place. Okay, let's do the next 2 bars. Okay, so we're going for an E minor. Now we're not using much of that E minor in that picking pattern, but I like to make it anyway. And the picking pattern is just slightly different to the previous 2 bars. So it's thumb on thickest, index on G, ring on thinnest, middle on B, then thumb on D, then index, then ring on E and middle. Let's do that slowly. Let me do that twice. Okay, and then finally we're going to move to a C chord. So that's index finger on 1st fret on B, middle finger on 2nd fret on D, and ring finger on 3rd fret on the A. The picking pattern is the same as the previous bar, but the bass note is different. It's the 3rd fret on the A string. So we're going thumb, index, ring, middle, thumb on D, index, ring, middle. And then for the next half of this bar, we go to pick the pattern more or less the same, thumb, index, ring, middle. Then we're going to start playing the melody by putting the little finger down on the 3rd fret on the B string and pinching those 2 3s. Okay so far? Okay, so let's put together those 4 bars. Very good. Moving into the next 2 bars. This is bars 5 and 6. Okay, so we're going to return back to our G, so that's 3rd fret on the thickest string, and we're going to be pinching thumb and middle finger, then index, then thumb on D, index, then thumb on thickest, thumb on D, index, thumb on D, then we repeat that. And then we're gonna, with the middle finger, press down the 2nd fret on the G string and pinch those 2 notes, the thickest string that you've got on the 3rd fret and the G, then lift up the middle finger to get that open G string. So the whole while we want to leave this bass note down. We're going to move to the B minor like we did earlier in bar 2. Going to pick that thumb on A, index, middle, index, then pinching thumb and middle finger, then middle finger, then thumb on D, index, then thumb on A, thumb on D, index, thumb on D. Just remove these fingers away, but leave the bar there, pressing down the 2nd fret on the A and the D, or actually the bottom 5 strings, but you just need those 2. Then lift up to play the open G string. So that bar again. Okay, those 2 bars. Make your E minor, okay, and with your E minor you're going to be going thumb on thickest, thumb on D, index, thumb on D, then little finger on 3rd fret on the B string to make an E minor 7, pinch the top string and that note, your new notes, then thumb on D, then play that 3rd fret again, then lift up. I'll do that half bar for you. Okay, so that requires striking the B string twice. Then to finish that bar, we go thumb on thickest, thumb on D, index, thumb on D. Then you're going to squeeze that little finger now underneath the 2nd fret on the D string. I'm just going to position this camera so we're a bit more on this fret for now. There you go. So you're going to put the pinky down, then lift it up. I'll do that bar for you slowly. And now we're going to move to a C chord. Sorry. Okay, so here's your C. You're going to be playing down the strings from the A, D, index, then put the pinky finger down on fret 3 on the B, then play that again, that note, with the middle finger, then thumb on D, then lift up, open on the B. And then to do the rest of that bar, thumb on A, thumb on D, index, thumb on D, move the middle finger down to fret 2 on the G string, then lift up. Try to leave this C bass note intact throughout the whole bar. Okay, so I'm going to recap bars 5, 6, 7 and 8 so we know where we're going. Okay, moving on. This is bars 9 and 10. Okay, so bar 9 is very similar to bar 5. All we're doing is we're coming down here on the 3rd fret on the thickest again for this G. Thumb on thickest, thumb on D, index, thumb on D. Pinky finger down on fret 3 on the thinnest, on the B string, pinching those. Then thumb on D, index, then lift up the pinky to get that open string. Carrying on with that bar, thumb on thickest, thumb on D, index, thumb on D. Middle finger on fret 2 on the G, pinching those 2 strings. So that's how we left off bar 5, okay, it's the same. Then we're going to move to a B minor. Now as you move to this B minor, bear in mind you do not need to to press down all 6 the bottom 5 strings with the bar. In fact, what we actually want is we really just want fret 2 and fret 4 on the D and the G. We just kind of want those notes. We are going to need this middle as well, but we need to leave that thinnest string clear, so we don't want to be pressing down. So as you make that chord, you're going to make sure you've got the 2, 4 and 4 down, pinch the A and the E strings, so you get this open thinnest, this open E. So you pinch those 2, that's the B and the A note and the E string. Thumb on D, index, thumb on D. Then middle finger, you're now going to put that down like you do for a normal B minor, but once again, still don't bar. Pinch the A and the B. Thumb, index, thumb, so it's... Then lift up with the middle finger to get the open B string and the same pinch on the bass note. And then the thumb, index, thumb. So it's... Then do the bar again when we're pressing down the 2nd fret on the A and the D and the G. And then we pinch thumb and index, then index. So it's... So moving on to bars 11 and 12, they sound like this. So we're going to this E minor, and basically we're just going to be picking around this E minor a lot with our right hand. So it's thumb and index on the pinch, thumb on thickest and index finger, then thumb on D, then 2 index fingers on the open G string, and thumb on thickest, then thumb on D, index, thumb on D. Do that again. The same picking pattern again, so that's thumb, thumb, index, thumb. Thumb on thickest, then index 3 times. into your C chord, but the C chord, you just want the bass note, 3rd fret on the thickest string. Middle finger comes down to not the D string where it normally is for a C, but down to the G string. Pinch those 2 notes, pull them both together at the same time. Then lift up the G, then middle finger on B, then index. So we're going to be kind of putting this down, but then lifting it up quite quickly. Then go thumb on A, so we're now making our regular C, so it comes from here and moves up back to its normal position. And that's the next half of the bar. Thumb, thumb on D, index, thumb. Then the next part is thumb on A, thumb on D, index, thumb on D. Then you're going to put your pinky down on the 3rd fret on the B string, and you're going to do a pinch if you're a bit more of a novice, and if you want to be a bit more intermediate, you're going to rake it. So that's thumb, index and middle. You're going to be pulling those 3 strings together whilst holding down the 3rd fret on the B string. So you can pinch it, so you could go, or if you want to give it a little bit more, that's why there's an arrow on the tab, you can do a little rake, where you go thumb, index, middle really quickly. You do this by just kind of grabbing the strings a little more and pinging them off, but it takes a little bit of time, and I don't really want to go too much into that technique now. Okay, so we're now on to the 3rd verse, which when we repeat the whole song, we're going to be returning to one day. That's why there's that little symbol on the left-hand side with 2 dots at the beginning of the bar. So let's have a look at these next 2 bars. So you're probably getting the theme by now. It's back to another G bass note on the 3rd fret on the thickest string. We're going to be pinching thumb and middle finger, index on G, thumb on D, index on G, thumb on thickest, thumb on D, index, thumb on D. Then thumb on thickest, thumb on D, index, thumb on D. Now this time we're going to be pinching the top and bottom strings, so that's thumb and ring finger, then little finger on 3rd fret on the B string, and you're just going to play that twice with your middle finger. And then that bar is. To our B minor, thumb on its bass note, the A string, thumb on D, index, thumb on D, pinching thumb and middle, then lift up the bar, so you're going from that to lift up for the B string. So if I show you this angle on the fretting hand, see I'm just rolling the bar away. Then carrying on with that bar, thumb on A, thumb on D, index, thumb. Then doing your bar on the 2nd fret on the A and the D string, G string, sorry. So you get those 2 twos, then you play the 2 by itself. Then moving to your E minor. Okay, so from here, in fact, I'll play the next 2 bars for you, but before I do that, I'll recap those 2 bars. E minor from here. Sorry. Okay, so the last 2 bars of this verse, we make our E minor, pinching thumb on the thickest and index, then thumb on D, then index, index, and thumb on D, thumb on E, thumb on D. Now the rhythm is slightly different here. It's 1 E and 2 and. Then carrying on with that bar, thumb on thickest, thumb on D, index, thumb on D, thumb on thickest, thumb on D, index. Okay. Moving to our C chord now, but once again, you might be starting to realise this, whenever it's a C, we've always got our middle finger down here on the G string, not on the D. Pinching those 2 notes, then lift up the G, then put it back again. So it's pinch, open on G, then back to 2nd fret on the G, then open B string. Then make yourself a regular C, and just quite simply you're going to go thumb on A, thumb on D, index, thumb on D, thumb on A, thumb on D, index, thumb on D, and then holding that C bass note. Okay, good so far. So what I'll do is I'll just recap those last 4 bars from 13 in verse 3. Here we go, 3 and 4. Okay, next we're going to start this bridge. So let's do the first 2 bars of the bridge. Okay, now with this, we're going to be moving for the first time to a D chord, but really it's not really a D. What we're really thinking about here is it's the D bass note that we're using, so that's the 3rd fret, 3rd string down. So we're going to hold down fret 2 on the G string like we're making a D, but just with the 1 finger. Pinch thumb and index together, then middle finger on the open B string, then pinching thumb and D. So there's a lot of open strings. Then we're going to play that 2 twice, then open, so you're going to lift it up, then put it back. Back, and this time pinch the thickest string. Then play the 2nd fret again, lift it up, then put it back, pinch the thickest string with that note. Then 3 open strings. I'll do it slowly. So it's really simple to fret, a little bit of fingers on the right hand, a little bit more complex. Now we're going to make our C chord, and we're going to dance around the notes on the A, on the D and the G string. So we're going to go 3rd fret on the A string, then 2nd fret on the D string like we do for a normal C, then move that middle finger down. So we can go 2nd fret here, and then 2nd fret here on the G. Then open on the G, then put the 2nd fret back, then lift up off the G, and then put it back again. I'll do that really slowly. Then we're going to do the same thing again, but this time we're just going to lift up off that G at the end and play 3 open Gs. Okay, good. So I'll put those 2 bars together. Okay, very good so far. Into these bar 19 of the bridge, we're doing something very similar to the first bar of the bridge, bar 17. So we're holding down this sort of loosely based on a D, and we're going to pinch the thumb on the D string and the index finger, then middle finger 3 times, then thumb and middle, 2nd fret on the G string, then open, and then pinching the thickest string. Now, what I'm going to do here is, rather than sort of taking you through all the fingers on the right hand, I'm just going to play it slowly because it's actually quite a lot to say with the fingers that you use. Listen. Okay, so that's what you're aiming for. The fretting is really easy. You're either holding down fret 2 on the G string, or you're lifting it up, and you don't want to lift up far because you're going to be coming back to it quite soon. Next bar. So that's 3rd fret on the A string and 2nd fret on the D string. And you're going to pinch those two together. So this means breaking the fingerstyle rule, thumb on the A string and index finger on the D string. Then playing that note again, this time you can use the thumb. Open on D, G, thumb on D, thumb on A, open on G, 2nd fret on G, then open on G again, and then holding down the 2nd fret with still our C bass note held down, and then pinching thumb on thickest, index and middle, so 3-finger pinch, or you could rake it like we talked about earlier. So I'll do that bar slowly. And now moving into the chorus, we stick with our C chord, thumb on A, thumb on D, index, thumb on D, thumb on A. And then we're into our chorus. So I'll recap from the start of the bridge, bar 17, and then we'll have a look at the next. So. Okay, so I'll do the chorus in part 2 because this is already quite a long video, and I shall see you for that part. Hope everything else is going well with the music so far.